Hello class. Today we are going to talk about section 1.7, multiplying rational numbers. The first thing I'd like to talk about is how to determine the sign of the product. When we are multiplying rational numbers, we use the same rules as multiplying integers. If the signs are the same, the product is positive. If the signs are different, the product is negative. Please take a moment to pause this video and write down how to determine the sign of the product. Now remember, a rational number is any number that can be written as the ratio of two integers, or essentially any number that can be written as a fraction. Many decimals can be written as a fraction, so let's go through and find the steps for multiplying decimals. The first step is to multiply the numbers together as if the decimals were not there. The second step is to count how many numbers are after the decimal in the factors. That is the amount of numbers after the decimal in the product. Please take a moment to pause this video and write down the steps for multiplying decimals. Now let's try an example together. Let's multiply 3 14/100ths by 6 9/10ths. So we're going to start off just by pretending the decimals aren't there and multiply it as if it was 314 times 69. 9 times 4 is 36. Carry the 3. 9 times 1 is 9. Plus 3 is 12. Carry the 1. 9 times 3 is 27. Plus 1 is 28. Put a 0 down as a placeholder. 6 times 1 is 24. Carry the 2. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 2 is 8. 6 times 3 is 18. Now we add our two numbers together. And we get 21,666. Now we go back and look at our numbers. 3 14/100ths has two numbers after the decimal, and 6 9/10ths has one number after the decimal. Therefore, there are 3 total numbers after the decimal in the factors, which means there will be 3 numbers after the decimal in our answer. So right now our decimal point's at the end. We go back 1, 2, 3, and that's where the decimal goes in the answer. Therefore, 3 14/100ths times 6 9/10ths is 21 666 thousandths. Please take a moment to pause the video and put this example in your notes. Now, I would again like you to take a few moments to pause this video and try these two problems on your own. After you've attempted them, please resume the video to check your work. In the first example, after doing the multiplication out, I go back and look and see that there were 3 numbers total after the decimal in the factors. Therefore, there were 3 numbers after the decimal in the answer. I also noticed that it was a negative times a positive. Since the signs are different, the answer is negative. Negative 6 32/100ths times 1 3/10ths is negative 8 216 thousandths. For the second example, 123 thousandths times 4 6/10ths, after going through and multiplying them, I go back and look and there were 4 numbers total after the decimal, which means there are 4 numbers after the decimal in my answer. When I go back 4 spaces, I find out that my answer is 5,658 10,000ths. Now let's look at the steps for multiplying fractions. The first step is to reduce if possible. This could mean either cross-reducing or reducing a single fraction. Step 2 is to multiply the numerators. The numerator is the top number in the fraction. Step 3 is to multiply the denominators. The denominators are the bottom numbers of the fraction. And the fourth and final step is to again reduce if possible. Please take a moment to pause this video and write down the steps for multiplying fractions. Now let's try an example together. If we look at the numbers, we can tell that we can cross-reduce. When we cross-reduce, we're going to look at numbers that are diagonal from each other. So 5 and 20 both have a common factor, 5. So we divide a 5 out of both of them. 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 20 divided by 5 is 4. Now we look at our other two numbers that are diagonal from each other, 3 and 9. They share a common factor of 3. So we divide a 3 out of each. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 9 divided by 3 is 3. We now have the fractions 1/3 times 1/4. When we multiply them together, we multiply our numerators. 1 times 1 is 1, and 3 times 4 is 12. By cross-reducing before we multiplied, it saved us from having to do reducing at the end. Please take a moment to record this example in your notes. Now I would again like you to take a moment to pause this video and try these two problems on your own. Afterwards, please resume the video to check your work. Looking at our first problem, I notice I can cross-reduce the 7 and 21. They both have a common factor of 7. I can also cross-reduce the 9 and 36. They both have a common factor of 9. After cross-reducing, I need to multiply 1 times 1 and 4 times 3 to get an answer of 1/12. In the second example, I can cross-reduce the 33 and the 11. They both have a common factor of 11. I can also cross-reduce the 5 and 50. They both have a common factor of 5. After cross-reducing, I need to multiply 3 by 1 and 10 by 1 and get an answer of 3/10. Before you finish with your notes, I would like you to write down at least one question that you have about multiplying rational numbers, and be prepared to come in and ask your question during the class discussion tomorrow.